Well, howdy folks, my name's Reagan. This is the GWP Homestead and welcome to our brooder. Now each year here on the farm, we raise meat chickens, and what we want to do is bring you on a journey week to week to week as these birds grow, so that if you want to raise meat chickens, specifically Cornish crosses like we are, then you know or might have a better idea of what to expect in the process. We purchased these birds online like we've done each and every year so far. They arrived in the mail. These were hatched Tuesday of last week. They arrived on Wednesday and today's Sunday, so they are just about a week old.
I don't know how I ever did anything without this wagon. So we built the brooder the first year we got meat birds, and it has probably been one of the best investments for raising any type of chicken. So it's a farm, it's messy, but we did put this divider wall in, and then this area is where they'll live for the first couple of weeks. And we put up the white panels for the first couple of days, just so they get used to the heat lamp.
Hello, little babies.
Here, sit down. What do you think?
Two.
Are they cute?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 37. Okay. There you go. So it's very common when you get meat birds that you get a few extras. We ordered 35 and we actually got 37. So that's awesome.
Now when they come into the post office, in our experience, they give you a call. Now we have had at least one time when they have brought the birds to us. Weren't expecting that. But the post office gives you a call. You can go pick up your birds, and we've had really good weather here, and so the birds have done really, really well. This year we're raising 35. We've done 25 in the past. We've done 50 in the past, and so this is kind of a middle ground. We want to settle in at about 35 birds, which is enough to feed our family throughout the year. We actually still have a few birds left over from last year. So if you're cooking a whole bird each and every week, if you're piecing them out and eating a lot of chicken, that might not be enough. But for us and our family here on our farm, 35 whole chickens in the freezer is going to be a pretty good number for a year's worth of eating. You got to make sure you put the lid on so the free-range rooster doesn't try anything funny. In all seriousness, though, it's not the free-range rooster you've got to look out for. It's the mice that are the biggest problem with keeping the rodents out of your feed. It's definitely the biggest problem that we encounter. When we raise meat chickens, we are opting for a Cornish cross hen. We like Cornish crosses. Haven't tried a Freedom Ranger or any of those other types that take a little bit longer to grow out. The reason we like the Cornish crosses is they're ready faster. They have a really good feed input to meat growth ratio. They're ready in 7 to 8 weeks. And we've had pretty decent luck. They actually cost a little less than the other birds' initial cost. And so you feed them for less time. They're ready faster. I don't want to say you feed them less, but you feed them a little, you don't have to feed them quite as long. They're ready a little bit faster, and for the most part, we've had pretty good luck. Now, last year we had not some luck. It wasn't necessarily with the breed itself. The only complaint that I have with the breed is that they are not very smart birds. They're not very hardy. It's a chicken. Most chickens are they're not known for their intelligence, but these especially, there's something about them. They are made to do one thing. They're made to convert feed into meat, and they do that really, really well. But they leave a lot to be desired in the brains department. Let me tell you about what we've done in the past and what we're doing differently this year. So in the past, we have purchased chickens. We go for hens, by the way. The reason we want hens is because they get a little bit smaller. That they don't grow quite as large as a male bird. So males get really big, and from what we have read, our own research is they can kind of that 7th to 8th week of growth can be kind of a wild card. You might start losing them pretty early. We don't want a straight run mix because we kind of want a uniform bird in the freezer. When we go to the freezer, we want to go get a 3 to a 5 pound chicken. We just know it's going to be the same size. Some of them are not going to be much bigger than others. So we go for a hen, just a uniform size and weight. And in the past, what we have done is we purchased these birds around the end of February, or they've arrived toward the end of February. Now, our brooder is outdoors, and we've got a really nice secure brooder. Behind you here at the camera is a hardware cloth, and so it's outside, it's predator proof. It does a pretty good job keeping the birds out of the wind, but it's ambient temperature in here, and even with the heat lamp, things can get kind of weird. We live in West Kentucky. It does not get brutally cold, but it is not unusual to have a really cold snap at the end of February or that first week of March, and it seems that we have had that over the past couple of years. It's a battle to keep these little birds warm if it's going to get that cold. So what we wanted to do is delay that processing time back a few weeks. It is currently the 3rd week of March, so we pushed it back a few weeks. Had a couple of cold nights that we missed by doing that, which we're thankful for. We didn't have to kind of fight that battle that we're normally accustomed to fighting. And by not pushing it out too much further into the future, we're avoiding processing these birds whenever it gets too hot outside. Normally, in the past, we have processed at 8 weeks of age. This year, we're opting for 7 weeks. Again, we're going to have a smaller bird by doing this, but last week, between struggling with the cold at the outset, and then we had a faulty waterer that we're going to be replacing. We're doing something different this year. We'll tell you about that in a few weeks. They had a water issue where they had water in the morning. The little drippers stopped up and quit working, and we had a huge die-off of birds in the last week. Super unfortunate. We started off with 50 and ended up processing 25 or so. Very disappointing. You hate to lose any animal like that, but especially one that's going to go in the freezer. It just wasn't pleasant. And it's not that they were neglected. They just, you check them in the morning, and by the time you come back out in the afternoon on a pretty warm day, it's no good. So these birds arrived at the end of March. Are going to be gone at the beginning of May, 7 weeks from hatch to processing. That's different than in the years past, but between that and the delayed start, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. And depending on the hatchery you buy from, you may get a couple of extra birds in that shipment. Sometimes they give you 1 or 2 extra to account for some expected loss. This batch, in our opinion, looks better than the batch that we received from the same hatchery last year. I don't know if it's a different quality of bird, a different strand of Cornish cross. I have no idea. But so far, we have had success. We received 37 birds, and all 37 are still alive. There's one in here right now that looks kind of puny. I'm afraid that she's not going to be with us much longer. You expect to lose a few. You don't want to lose too many, but so far things are going well, but we do expect to lose 1 or 2 along the way. Even when these birds are this little, they go through so much food. We are feeding a medicated chick start / grower feed. We'll be on that for a few weeks, and then we'll switch over to a grower feed. You just want to give these birds as much protein as possible because in a few days, these birds have grown so much. What we like to do and what we've done each year in these little video series is get a weight on these birds each week. What we did was we grabbed 3 of these birds, get a 3-bird average to see what they're doing. When they arrived, they were 1.2 ounces, 1.3 ounces, and 1.4 ounces. I'm not a mathematician, although I did study some in college. That's 1.3 ounce average for these birds on the day that they arrived at the farm. Now here a week later, they've grown, and we're going to put them on a scale and see what they are today. So the first thing we do is we zero our scale out. This is just my wife's kitchen scale with a Tupperware container on it. And we try to select 3 birds that are about uniform in size. So that's 2.4 for bird number 1, 3.2 on bird number 2, and hang tight with me, little miss. 3.2 again. All right. It's so much brighter out here. It's dark in there. The camera did a pretty good job keeping up with it, but it's a lot better out here. You did notice there's only 1 heat lamp. We would love to have 2. Now, in that small little enclosure that they're in with the brooder kind of shrunk down, the small enclosure, 1 heat lamp is okay. You really don't have space for 2. The problem with 1 heat lamp is if a bulb goes out for any reason at all, you're out of heat. And so having 2 is great, especially when you've got this much investment tied up in a bird or in a group of birds like that. Having something squared away, redundancy is key, right? If you have one, you have none, because if that one fails, you have no backup. We have had issues with that, again, in the past. Not fun at all. Anytime you have animal problems, it's a big deal. So multiple heat lamps is better, and we do our best. And funny enough, our second heat lamp is an older model. We love those Premier 1 heat lamps. They do great. They don't get hot to the touch, and much less of a fire risk. But the older one that I have, the one that was given to me, the wiring is not great. And the person who soldered it last time probably didn't do a very good job. So it just needs to be worked on. We had to get some stuff from Premier 1 anyway, and so it just gave us an excuse to have another one. And so hopefully we'll have at least 2 and maybe 3 lying around, which is obviously great. So over the next 6 weeks now, these birds are going to continue to grow. In 2 more weeks, we're going to move them out here into the pasture. Not there, it's going to be over that way. So we've got to build a new chicken tractor or repair that one and build another one kind of to go along with it. The one that we did last year, that hoop coop, was kind of a neat idea, but I wasn't in love with how it turned out, and we're going to try something new. The chickens are going to grow. We're going to talk about the new waterers that we're going to get. We're going to talk about the new tractors we're going to get, what you need to have ready for processing day to make processing day go as smooth as possible. And finally, we're going to bring you along and have kind of a fly on the wall perspective of processing day. Now, we will not have the details because YouTube is not crazy about having all that stuff on here, and that's just the nature of the beast. But at least you can come along and kind of just participate, and it'll be great to have you along. Thank you so much for being here. My name's Reagan, and we hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. This is the GWP Homestead. We'll see y'all soon.